Good morning and welcome to the Dallas Download, your quick look at what's trending, what's happening, and what everyone's talking around DFW. I'm Kayla, and we've got a lot to get into today, so let's jump right in.
You know, it started in 2009, and we were looking for a way to just basically say thanks to our guests who support us in these communities.
People want to know is a GLP-1 right for me?
All that and more right here on the Dallas Download.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to turn a classic story into something that feels fresh for a new generation? A Woman of Substance tells a story of Emma Hart, a woman who rises from humble beginnings to become one of the most powerful business figures of the 20th century. So joining us today are Jessica Reynolds and Brenda Blethyn, who play Emma at different stages of her remarkable life. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hiya. Good, thank you.
All right, so for viewers who may not know the story, what is it about Emma Hart that has made a Woman of Substance such an enduring character for generations?
Well, it's a wonderful story of rags to riches, really, in a nutshell. A woman who rises from poverty against all the odds to become the richest woman in the world. And she's driven by a sense of justice and to get revenge on people who did her wrong.
What she said.
And Jessica, we first meet Emma as a young woman with enormous ambition. What drew you to her, and what was the biggest challenge in bringing that version of Emma to life?
I think it's just such an inspiring story, and to have a period piece that is also from a working class woman's perspective is quite rare, and to see her kind of grow and evolve into this larger than life version of herself, you know, like I can't imagine her ambitions were to be the richest woman in the world, but it happened for her. And I think that's because of the traumatic background and the difficult background that she comes from, and it just shows the strength of those communities and people from those backgrounds. So that was very alluring, yeah.
And Brenda, you play Emma after she's built this incredible empire. What do you enjoy most about stepping into such an iconic role?
The costumes, the makeup. After playing DCI Vera Stanhope for 14 years, it's quite nice to get out of the Mac and the hat and the grotty old house she lived in. But she's such an iconic character, and some people would say not particularly sympathetic. I often play sympathetic characters, so this was a bit of a diversion for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Even though you two are playing the same character at different ages, what conversations did the two of you have to make sure Emma felt like the same person throughout her journey?
Zero.
Okay.
I think like that there's such a distance between them, not only in age but also in experience. Like I think one of the biggest points is that she becomes a completely different person, and it's up for the audience to decide whether that's for the better or not.
And Emma refuses to accept the limitations society places on her. Why do you think her story still resonates with audiences today?
Because there's still a bit of a discrepancy between equal wages between men and women. I bet a female engineer doesn't get as much as a male engineer, and in lots of professions there's not equality, and there should be.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. A Woman of Substance is now available on BritBox. For more information and to learn more about the series, visit BritBox.com. Jessica, Brenda, I really want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to bring out one of the most beloved family stories ever told to a new generation? Little House on the Prairie is now streaming on Netflix, introducing the Ingalls family to longtime fans and first-time viewers alike. Today, we're joined by Luke Bracey and Crosby Fitzgerald, who play Charles and Caroline Ingalls. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for having us.
I'm doing great. My mom was a huge fan of Little House on the Prairie, so I just grew up watching all of the old shows. And it has meant so much to generations of readers and viewers. What was your first reaction when you found out that you'd be playing Charles and Caroline Ingalls?
Oh, I sort of screamed and cried, I think. Yeah, it's daunting, but it was extremely exciting because I loved the scripts and I really trusted the creators of the show, and was ready to sort of take on this new approach to the literature.
Yeah, I was thrilled to play this character of Charles because I just saw kind of a wonderful story and a good man. And I think the world needs nice stories about people trying to be good people and trying their best in a hard world and realizing that they need their family and they need their community. And, you know, that was the real thrill for me when it came to this job. It's a nice story about people trying their best and not always succeeding and not being perfect. I just thought that was a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful story to have the privilege of being a part of.
And this series honors the original stories while creating something fresh for today's audience. How did each of you guys approach making these iconic characters your own?
I think, you know, I wanted to honor what was in the books and kind of what we know of Caroline vaguely, but I also was really excited to sort of see her as a human who is flawed and complex and, you know, it has a lot of room to grow. And that's what I loved about the script, I think. And there was a lot in the script that I got to play with, I think, in learning about Caroline as a full person who's, you know, a wife and a mother is just two of the many things that she is. And I love how the script did that in these stories.
And one of the things people have always loved about Little House on the Prairie is that it celebrates family while never shying away from the realities of frontier life. What do you think audiences will connect with most in this new adaptation?
I think they might connect with the fact that life's always been difficult. You know, life's difficult now, and life was difficult then, and life's going to be difficult in the future. But if you've got good people around you and you're trying to be a good person, you've got good kind of core of people helping each other, be that family or community or friends or whatever it is, that's where you really succeed in life rather than just doing it yourself. No one really makes it by just doing it themselves. I think that might be something that people take from it. It takes a village to get far in life. It's really hard to just be a one-man band and try and break through the realities of the world, which are that there's things that are going to come and try and drag you down. And without other people around you, you won't get through them.
And whether someone grew up with the books or the original television series or experienced Little House on the Prairie for the very first time, what do you hope they take away from this version?
I think it's such a great, it takes a greater view of the prairie and of the frontier. I think that's what's really excited about our series. And I don't know, there is something timeless about looking at history through the eyes of a child, because we have children all the time that are experiencing life now, and it will one day be history. And I think it's really important to see, you know, history in sort of through the lens of a child in a sort of an aspirational way that we can all kind of learn from.
Yeah, there's hope there, right? Yeah. There's hope that even though life is tough, it can be you can make it through the tough times. I think that's what children always have. They can see that life might be hard, but they always see out the other side of it somehow. They have to.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Little House on the Prairie is available now to stream on Netflix. Luke, Bracey, Crosby, Fitzgerald, I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having us. Good to talk to you.
What if a high school class helped breathe new life into a decades-old murder investigation? That's the incredible true story behind Murder 101. The new docuseries follows students who uncover new leads in a cold case while learning that they can make a real difference. Joining us is director Stacey Lee, who brings this remarkable story to the screen. Stacey, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much.
This whole story starts in a high school sociology class. At what point did you realize this was way bigger than a classroom assignment?
Probably from the very first day. You know, Mr. Campbell brings a lot of main character energy, shall we say. Before I started, I got to witness him in action, teaching actually another class, history, I think it was. And that man knows how to deliver a story. You know, he would just have the plot lines and the drama like ramping up until the final bell where students are like teetering on a cliffhanger. And he just like, they're dying to come back the next day. And I think like, what other teacher has students excited to come to class the next day? Not many, that's for sure.
The series follows students investigating the redhead murders. What impressed you the most about the way these young people approach such a difficult and even emotional case?
I think the student's superpower is truly their ability to empathize with the victims. You know, when you see so much true crime, it's oftentimes the hero, the killer becomes like somehow the hero. And because these victims were oftentimes the same age as the students, they went missing from malls, they went missing from football matches, places and circumstances that the students themselves are also doing and experiencing at the same time. I think it just hits really different. And so immediately the women become humanized. They become so much more than a statistic or a body found on the side of the road. They start to become like friends or sisters, or, you know, they know that they have loved ones. And then immediately once they start seeing them that way and caring for them that way, you know, they're empowered to share that with the community around them. And truly with cold cases, because it's been so long, the biggest thing to affect change is affecting the change in the community, you know, in the hopes that someone might know something and speak up.
True crime can sometimes focus more on the mystery than the people involved. How important was it for you to keep the victims and their families at the heart of the story?
Incredibly important, because I think that's what the students resonated with as well. Like, you know, my job as a documentary filmmaker is to truly immerse myself in their world so I can most authentically translate that to screen. And, you know, really taking the students' lead, Mr. Campbell's lead, like what are they most curious about? What are they most interested in? And oftentimes it was the things we were already feeling ourselves. And my favorite true crime is the true crime when you feel like you're part of it, that you're an investigator on the case as well. And that's how we really wanted this series to feel, that you're following along, you're learning details, you're putting clues together at the same time the students are, so that you're really engaged and you care about it, you know, just as much as they do.
You've directed documentaries about music and culture before. What drew you to true crime, and what made Murder 101 the right project for your first documentary in this genre?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I've always loved youth culture and coming of age stories. And I think that there was something incredibly unique about the mashup of these two worlds, right? Like high school life, breakups, prom, graduation, like all of these like seminal moments in teenage life, you know, juxtaposed side by side with like really dark, grisly, intense true crime. I was fascinated by how these two very opposing forces could kind of work together. And I think ultimately the effect is you just start to turn the genre on its head. You start to see a genre that is, you know, very well played out in today's culture in a new light. You see the victims differently, but most importantly, you know, as I expressed earlier, it's like, you start to see the teenagers differently, what they're capable of when you actually believe in them.
What do you hope viewers take away, not just from the investigation, but from seeing what these students were able to accomplish?
I think one of the biggest Trojan horses in this story is about the power of like a really good teacher. The effect of this real world learning, of giving the students real stakes, changes the way they care about and engage with the material that they're interacting with. You know, the education system obviously really leans into testing and things like that, that allows us to like standardize a large population. But real world learning is unpredictable. It is, you know, it has all these things that are quite challenging to kind of govern, but it also has a profound effect on the students who can engage with it in a meaningful way. And I think that for me, you know, opens up a much larger conversation about how we teach teenagers. Is it that they're just not concentrating or not learning, or is it that just that they're not engaged? Does it not have a real world impact on their lives and what they're going to, you know, face as they leave high school?
Hey, I want to thank you for joining me today. Murder 101 is streaming now on Prime Video, where all 3 episodes are available to watch. Stacey Lee, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So what would you do if someone from your past came back to turn your life upside down? That's the chilling idea behind Cape Fear, the new psychological thriller that's been keeping viewers on edge. Joining us today are Lily Collias and Malia Pyles, who play Natalie Bowden and Nevaeh Valentine in the series. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hey, we're
good.
How are
Happy
you?
to be here.
Very happy to be here.
Cape Fear is packed with suspense, but it's also very character-driven. What drew each of you to your characters?
I think the fluidity of her arc, for me personally, I think Natalie is the kind of girl who didn't ever have to second guess things in her life. And it was so interesting to play someone that, like, I don't think it's calculated whatsoever because, the circumstances are so specific that playing with what she's feeling even on that day or like that night, like because she's just finding out new things every single day. It was just such a blessing.
Yeah. I love Natalie so much.
She loves Nevaeh.
I know, and we love each other.
What can we say?
I mean, with Nevaeh, it was similar where it's like, it was pretty obvious right off the bat that she's like a deeply complex character. And I so value Nick, our showrunners and our creators writing. I mean, just based off her name too, Nevaeh is literally heaven backwards. I was like, there's an immediacy to, I'm like, there's an attention to detail and a style to this show that's like really intriguing to me. And, I never had the opportunity to play a character that's so villainous at times. And, I think that was such a cool person to be in step with for so many months.
Without giving anything away, your characters develop an interesting friendship. What was it like building that relationship together on set?
I mean, it's so easy because Malia as a person is someone that I connect with. I'm so grateful to call her like one of my best friends now. We really like had each other's backs and, we go through some intimate things together as characters, and the fact that we would be able to go home together and discuss and kind of just like throw ideas to a wall together was just like such a blessing, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is play. So it was just so fun to have that relationship with you.
Yeah, there was like an immediacy there. I mean, we met in the car and we were just both like completely vibrating with energy, and it was really easy to get to fall in love with these characters and then fall in love with her in a lot of ways. I mean, like she said, we'd go home from work after these crazy long days and like watch movies together and then bring parts of those movies into work the next day and be like, hey, can we bring this to our characters? And so, I mean, it was in a lot of ways just like a great lesson in trust and building something that feels at times like greater than just like the work you're putting out.
The series has such an incredible cast, including Javier Bardem, Amy Adams, Patrick Wilson. What did you learn from working alongside actors like that?
So much every single day. I think at the core of it is to put things that are genuinely important in your life first, and your artistry comes alongside with your life. And they were just always so grounded and humble with their ways of teaching. And I think like Javier feels like very almost like dreamlike in his process, and Amy's super technical. Everyone just like brought different things to the table, and I feel like it all just like mixed so well together.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like doing a horror beat with Patrick Wilson when you get to be the creepy thing behind his shoulder. I'm like, I feel like I'm in Insidious. Like, it's so cool.
I love making this perfect, gorgeous man go through hell.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Cape Fear is streaming now on Apple TV with new episodes released every Friday. Malia, Lily, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
GLP-1 medications have become a big topic, but many people still have questions about who can get them and what they'll cost. A new Medicare Bridge program is designed to make these medications more affordable for eligible patients. Joining us now is Deanna Worth, Walmart Pharmacy Manager, with more information to share with us. Welcome, Deanna. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me today.
So can you explain what the new Medicare GLP-1 Bridge program is and what Medicare beneficiaries should know?
Yeah, so the new Medicare Bridge program is for our Medicare beneficiaries. It's offering new GLP-1 options at a $50 copay for eligible patients. What we want customers to know is that we understand that navigating your healthcare can be complicated, and we know that you have questions and you're excited about these new options. And so just know that we're here at Walmart to help you answer your questions, understand the options, and just feel confident throughout the process.
And what are some of the most common questions people ask you about GLP-1 medications and weight management?
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of questions on these, and what people want to know is a GLP-1 right for me? What can I expect? We talk through potential side effects, maybe what their copay might be, and then also we talk about OTC recommendations, and also, if a patient is interested in supplements and if those are right for them, and how this GLP-1 might fit in their overall health journey. And what customers are telling us is that, they're not just interested in losing weight, but they want to feel better, have more energy, and just improve their overall health.
And pharmacists do much more than fill prescriptions. How do you help patients understand their options and make informed decisions?
Yeah, so this is where pharmacists can really make a difference, and this is what we do all day. We're one of the most accessible healthcare professionals. We answer patients' questions. We talk about side effects. We tell them what to expect, and we can connect them with some additional resources and just be their trusted partner in navigating their health and wellness journey. Sometimes people just need somebody that's accessible that they can talk to.
And Walmart Wellness Day is coming up on July 25th. What can people look forward to?
So I'm so glad you asked me. On July 25th, this is a great example where Walmart is making health and wellness more convenient and accessible in one location for our customers. We offer free health and vision screenings, low-cost immunizations, and also an opportunity to talk one-on-one with your local Walmart pharmacy in one convenient place. So if you're thinking about maybe, starting a healthcare journey or just want to check in on your health, join us on July 25th for our Walmart Wellness Day.
And finally, where can we go for more information?
So stop in at your local Walmart pharmacy, or you can visit us at walmart.com/GLP-1.
Deanna Worth, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to live with constant tremors? Essential tremor affects millions of people and can make everyday activities much harder than most of us realize. Today, we're talking with Ruth Essier and Dr. Philip Tipton about Ruth's journey and the treatment options that are helping people regain control of their lives. Welcome to you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So, Ruth, can you tell us about your journey with essential tremor and when it started affecting your daily life?
Sure. It was in my late 50s when I started getting minor shaking of my hands, but it continued to get progressively worse. It was later that I was diagnosed with tremors. It impacted my ability to do my job and day-to-day activities. So it was at that point where I talked to Dr. Tipton about other options other than what I was on.
And Dr. Tipton, how did you work with Ruth to find the treatment that was right for her?
Yeah, so Ruth's story may sound familiar to the millions of Americans that are dealing with essential tremor. And fortunately, we do have several therapy options for essential tremor. Ruth tried many of them, such as oral medications. She also tried injections of medication into muscles in her neck to help with tremor of the head. But like roughly half of patients with essential tremor, she wasn't getting the mileage that she was looking for with the traditional, typical medications for essential tremor. So that's when we began discussing more advanced therapies like deep brain stimulation, or DBS. Now, DBS is a little bit different. It involves providing an electrical signal to the brain through an electrode that's connected to a device that's implanted called a stimulator. And when we provide those electrical signals, we're able to improve movement symptoms. And in Ruth's case, that was reduction of tremor.
And Dr. Tipton, can you tell us a little more about the latest advances in DBS, or deep brain stimulation therapy?
Yeah, so DBS, it's not new. It was actually FDA approved back in 1997, but the technology, both the hardware and the software, keep getting better and better. So Ruth received Boston Scientific's Vercise Genus system, as well as the Cartesia X directional electrodes. Now, this new system allows physicians like me to have greater flexibility when we're programming the device, so we can make sure we're putting those electrical signals right where we want them to improve those movement symptoms. Now, again, roughly half of patients with ET don't have the benefit that they're looking for with medications. So if that describes you, then it's important to have a discussion with your doctor to determine if this is the right therapy for you.
And Ruth, how has deep brain stimulation changed your life?
It was life-changing. The best part is when I came out of the procedure, my hands didn't shake anymore. I was so elated, beyond excited.
And Dr. Tipton, where can people go to learn more?
You can check out the website at dbsandme.com to learn more about Boston Scientific's system, as well as indications, precautions, and risks associated with DBS.
Ruth, Dr. Tipton, thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
you.
Have you ever noticed how the smallest acts of kindness can make the biggest difference? This summer, McAllister's Deli is celebrating the people who help keep our communities running through its Community Connections campaign and Free Tea Day. Joining us now is Aaron Tenike, Vice President of Operations for McAllister's Deli. Welcome, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Kayla?
Doing good. I'm glad to hear that. So Free Tea Day has been around for a while. How has it grown into a bigger summer celebration?
Yeah, so, it started in 2009, and we were looking for a way to just basically say thanks to our guests who support us in these communities. And we decided, hey, what better than a free glass of tea, right? Let's buy our guests a drink on that day. And over the years, we've come to recognize that it really means, as much as it means to a guest to get the recognition or to be given a free tea, it's also really empowering for our team members to be able to give back, right? And to thank that guest that comes in that helps pay their wage. And the communities do such a good job of taking care of us in our business. We wanted to figure out how can we take care of the guest and show our appreciation. So as we thought about it, we came up with this idea of community, right? We want to be more ingrained in the community, and we want to do more and show our appreciation. And knowing that it means a lot to our team members, we recognize that there are hometown heroes in every community that they probably don't get the recognition that they deserve. And that being first responders, police officers, nurses, teachers. So I said, what better than creating this program where we go out into the community and we actually show our thanks to them for what they do to make our community stronger. And we came up with what we call a tea pass, which allows a guest 30 days of free tea. We know that teachers and nurses and doctors and our hometown heroes don't always have the opportunity to make it to the restaurant on that day. So our teams are out in the community. They have been for the last 2 weeks. It's going to run through July 12th, where we're trying to meet them in the workplace and tell them thanks. We appreciate what you do and how you make our community stronger. And here's free tea for 30 days.
And what can guests look forward to on Free Tea Day this July 16th?
So as usual, anybody and everyone is welcome to visit your local participating McAllister's Deli. There's no purchase required. Just give us the opportunity to say thank you. Let us buy you a drink.
And what is Community Connections, and what inspired this way of recognizing hometown heroes?
It stems from our DNA. We recognize that we're not going to be, our success is predicated on how we integrate in the communities. And we look for ways to partner, if you will, and recognize people. Our restaurants are locally owned and operated, and we want them integrated in the communities. So going back to what I said earlier, these hometown heroes, they don't always get the recognition they deserve. It's empowering and feels good for our team members to recognize them for the work that they do and the support that they give us in the community. So we're out there giving away free tea to these people who really make a difference in this community.
And my friend, where can everyone go for more information?
You can go to @McAllister's Deli on Instagram or Facebook, or just call your local restaurant.
Aaron Tenike, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Kayla, thank you for having me.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the Dallas Download. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to follow along for more stories, more trends, and even more from your own city. We'll see you next time on the show we like to call the Dallas Download.